Have you ever found yourself daydreaming about that perfect vacation spot after retirement? A quiet beach, the streets of Paris, or a long-awaited cruise? These visions are often tied to the idea of enjoying life after years of hard work. But when you cross the threshold of 70, those dreams deserve a second, more thoughtful look. Not because travel becomes impossible, but because it becomes a different kind of experience. One that requires more planning, more care, and far more awareness than most people expect. We often glorify the idea of retirement travel, the freedom, the new places, the culture. But behind those appealing images lie a set of challenges that can quickly turn a joyful trip into a stressful, expensive, or even dangerous experience, especially for older adults. In this discussion, we're going to dive deep into 5 crucial reasons why traveling after the age of 70 isn't as straightforward as it seems. From unexpected health emergencies to financial traps and the emotional toll of fatigue. This is the kind of reality check every senior and their loved ones needs before booking that next ticket. So let's begin with perhaps the most important factor of all: the fragility of health. After 70, our bodies are incredible machines, but like any machine, time takes its toll. After 70, even those who have lived active, healthy lives begin to notice subtle and sometimes not so subtle changes. Reactions slow, recovery takes longer, chronic illnesses, even well-managed ones, can flare up without warning. When you're at home, managing these health conditions is relatively straightforward. You have your doctor, your pharmacy, and your support network nearby. But when you're thousands of miles away, navigating a new country or city, the equation becomes far more complicated. Imagine trying to explain a complex medical history in a foreign language during an emergency, or needing a specific medication only to find it's not available or goes by a different name in another country. One of the biggest concerns is the possibility of sudden health issues arising mid-trip. Long flights, altitude changes, unfamiliar foods, dehydration, or even climate shifts can trigger heart issues, respiratory complications, or infections. Blood clots, for example, are a known risk during long-haul flights, especially for older adults who are less mobile. Something as seemingly harmless as heat stroke or food poisoning can spiral quickly into a crisis. Take James, a 74-year-old man who looked forward to a scenic cruise with his wife. What started as a peaceful getaway turned into a terrifying experience when he suffered chest pain on the ship. With no hospital in sight and only basic medical facilities available on board, he had to wait for emergency evacuation. That delay cost him hours of critical care time. He survived, but he later admitted he had underestimated how different things would be compared to his earlier travels in his 50s. The lesson? Consult your doctor before you go. Undergo a full medical checkup. Carry all your medications in labeled containers, along with prescriptions. And never ever leave home without comprehensive travel insurance that covers medical emergencies and evacuations. It's not paranoia, it's preparation. Exposure to infections, a hidden threat in every journey. You might not think much of a sneeze in an airport or a funny tasting meal at a street vendor, but for seniors, those seemingly minor issues can lead to serious health consequences. One of the lesser discussed risks of senior travel is exposure to bacteria, viruses, and foodborne illnesses that your body may not be equipped to fight off. As we age, our immune system weakens. This natural decline makes it harder to resist infections that a younger person might shake off in a day or two. On a plane, you're sitting inches away from strangers, breathing recycled air and touching surfaces that hundreds of others have touched. These are breeding grounds for respiratory illnesses, stomach bugs, and more. And then there's the matter of food and water safety. While trying exotic dishes is one of the joys of travel, seniors need to be especially careful. A digestive upset can go from a mild inconvenience to a serious condition requiring hospitalization. Dehydration, diarrhea, and food poisoning can hit older bodies harder and longer than you might expect. Simple things help. Drink only bottled water. Avoid ice in drinks. Steer clear of raw or undercooked food. And always sanitize your hands before eating. If you need mobility aids, like canes or walkers, they become additional contact points for germs. So disinfecting them regularly is a must. It may seem overly cautious, but it's a small price to pay to stay out of a foreign hospital bed. Travel fatigue. When the journey is more exhausting than the destination. Another often overlooked reality of senior travel is how exhausting it can be. Traveling is no small task. It's a physically demanding experience. Walking through airports, carrying luggage, navigating different time zones, waiting in lines, dealing with early flights or late arrivals. For someone over 70, these can be more than just tiring. They can be debilitating. Fatigue doesn't just make you feel sluggish. It affects your balance, alertness, digestion, and immunity. Jet lag hits harder and lasts longer. Sleep becomes elusive, especially in unfamiliar hotel beds or noisy environments. Recovery takes days or even weeks. Consider Richard, a 75-year-old who traveled overseas with his wife. The 10-hour flight, followed by navigating customs and adjusting to a 6-hour time difference, left him so drained that he struggled to enjoy any of the planned activities. Sightseeing turned into a chore, and all he wanted by the third day was rest. By the time he adjusted to the time zone and found a rhythm, it was already time to fly back home. This kind of exhaustion can take the joy out of traveling and turn a cherished vacation into something that feels like a chore. The solution: plan your trips with generous rest days. Avoid back-to-back activities. Stay hydrated and prioritize sleep. Don't feel the need to see everything. Sometimes less is more. The looming threat of falls and physical injuries. Time, a scary statistic, but an undeniable one. Falls are one of the leading causes of injury among seniors, and travel increases that risk tenfold. Think about the uneven cobblestones of a historic European town, the slippery decks of a cruise ship, or the dimly lit stairways of an old hotel. Combine those with jet lag, fatigue, and unfamiliar footwear, and you've got a recipe for disaster. One bad fall can result in a broken hip, a hospital stay, or even permanent loss of mobility. Linda, 78, learned this the hard way while vacationing in Italy. Though she was active and walked regularly at home, she underestimated how difficult it would be to navigate the hilly terrain. One wrong step on a poorly lit street sent her to the ground and straight to a hospital. The rest of her vacation cancelled. The aftermath: months of painful recovery and therapy. The takeaway here is simple but powerful. Know your limits, use supportive footwear, avoid risky terrains, and take your time. Choose destinations that offer mobility support and be honest with yourself about what your body can handle. Financial hazards, the unseen dangers that follow you. Home, when people think about the risks of traveling, they often focus on health, but money too is at stake, especially for seniors who may be living on a fixed income. Travel can be surprisingly expensive when things go wrong. If you have to cancel a trip due to a sudden illness, most airlines and cruise lines won't refund you. Medical emergencies can rack up thousands in bills, particularly if you're outside your insurance network or need to be airlifted. And scammers? They see older tourists as easy targets, whether it's overpriced taxis, fake vacation packages, or subtle credit card fraud. George, 76, thought he'd found the deal of a lifetime on a tropical vacation. When he arrived there was no hotel. He had been conned. Scrambling for last-minute accommodations, he paid double what he had planned, and the stress ruined the entire trip. That was money he could never get back. Seniors can protect themselves by taking a few critical steps. Always verify travel agencies and bookings through reputable sources. Invest in travel insurance that includes medical coverage and trip cancellation protection. Be cautious with credit cards. Avoid carrying large amounts of cash and never share financial details with strangers. Final thoughts. So, is travel after 70 a bad idea? Not necessarily. Many seniors continue to explore the world well into their later years, but they do so with awareness, preparation, and a realistic understanding of their limits. Travel isn't what it used to be in your 40s or 50s. It demands more from your body, your finances, and your peace of mind. But with careful planning, a cautious mindset, and the right support systems in place, it can still be enjoyable. The key is not to romanticize travel, but to respect what it asks of you and be ready for it. Because in the end, a good journey is not just about where you go, but how safely and happily you return home.